Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Steven Anderson, and we're very excited to work with you at the upcoming UNC Summer Jazz Workshop. I wanted to do a little tutorial today for our jazz pianists coming in. Admittedly, one challenge I've had over the years in the piano class is that we have a lot of pianists coming in from different backgrounds. So some will be new and just learning voicings, and others have done that before and they're waiting to get new, exciting information. So I try to find a middle ground and try to reach everybody. One thing that will help us considerably is that if everyone comes in with having practiced their rootless piano voicings, and I want to go over a little tutorial today on that, so hopefully you can practice that and we'll have that as a basis, and then we'll be able to progress more quickly in the class. Okay, a little background here. So in jazz history, jazz in the piano land came out of kind of ragtime. Ragtime was not jazz, it was notated, but they had that boom, chuck, left hand, like root, chord, root, chord, root, chord. Well, that translated into New Orleans music and Jelly Roll Morton, and then also up into Harlem and New York City, and where they were playing Harlem Stride. They were going boom, chuck, and they always had the root in there. Fast forward a few years after that, Bud Powell's playing root position voicings, kind of in the low register, and pianists of that era would sometimes play lower. Eventually they discovered that they were kind of playing in the basis range. Not kind of, they were. And especially if they played a root, that would double the bass, and sometimes it could be a little muddy and it wouldn't allow them room to play their register. So eventually pianists, especially by like the mid-50s, began to discover that if they played in the middle register, if they voiced the chord or inverted it, and left out the root, then the bass could play that note, and they could play other tones that would allow them to play more extensions, like rich harmonies, and you would have to move your hand a lot less, so they're easier. But one thing that is tricky for the beginning pianist, beginning jazz pianist, is that you have to think without the root in there. Well, you kind of imagine the root and then you play it. So today I want to do a little tutorial on that. First things first, we're going to focus on the left hand, and if the third is here in the pinky, the seventh will be here. If the seventh is here, the third will be here. If all your fingers are getting below middle C, you're getting too low. If all your fingers are getting above middle C, you can start to get a little bit too high, though you can fudge a little bit more on that end. Ideally, we learn those rootless voicings in the left hand. We will also look a little bit in the right hand. The right hand, it's if the third is here, the seventh is here. If the seventh is here, the third is here. So it's like that. I might actually double my hands a little bit, so it's kind of faster to learn them that way, though you wouldn't want to perform them that way where you actually double them. All right, let's get started. So if you take C major 7 from the root, it would look like this. 1, 3, 5, 7. Those pitches are C, E, G, B. Okay. The rootless kind, again, would have the third in the pinky, the seventh here. Here's middle C for reference. And then what can you add to that? Well, you can add 5 and 9. And I just want to underscore that it's really important to keep this fingering here. If you don't do the correct fingering, if you're constantly changing, it takes a lot longer to learn these. So yeah, 3, 7, super glue those down, and then you can add 5 and 9. And if your bassists were playing, it would sound like this. Okay. From the seventh, that would look like this. 7, 3, 9, 5, like that. Okay. Now, let's try it on a dominant chord. So dominant would lower the 7. Okay. That would look like that. Now, for dominant chords, that's kind of a dated sound that sounds like the 40s. Eventually, really by the 50s, you began to hear them put that 13th in there, which is right by the flat 7. So this is 3, 13, flat 7, 9. I'm tucking this finger in sometimes so that you can see it more clearly. I would never do that, actually. You'll hurt your hand. So, okay, here it is from the 7th. Good to practice those that way. To learn them quickly, you could do them both hands this way, if you feel comfortable with that. If not, take hands separate. Again, the priority is going to be the left hand so that you can play melodies and comp for yourself. Yeah, so here you go. So, C minor 7, you would look like this. You're going to lower the third, flat 3, 5, flat 7, 9, and then if the bassists were playing, it would sound like this. From the 7th, you'd have 7, 3, of course, flat 7, flat 3, 9, 5. Okay? So it'd be good to learn those in both positions. Now, let's quickly get into 2-5-1s. And for brevity, I won't put all the voicings over the top, like the notated voicings. But they look like this. So in a root position, check out how clumsy these are. So here I'm playing in the right hand. And you've got to jump around. They don't sound that good, and there's a lot of skipping that's hard to play. Look at this when you voice it. So if you voice D minor 9 from the 3rd, put your pinky there, super glue that down, set the 7th, second finger on the 7th, add 5 and 9. Now watch when you go to G, you just move one finger up here. And this on the G chord becomes 7, 9, 3, 13. You'll note that 13 and 6 are the same tone. We usually say 13 on the dominant chord and 6 for major, but in this case it's dominant, so 13. And then C major. All together it sounds like this. Now, I'm going to take this through quickly. You can pause the video and practice. You'll have the sheet that you can look at too if you learn well from reading the notation. Either way works. So, okay, it looks like this. Here's the key of C. Do that a few times. Now let's go up a half step. So a quick way to learn that is to go like this. Spider up all your fingers a half step. This is E flat minor 7, A flat 13, D flat major 7. Okay. Let's go to D major. It looks like this. This is the E minor chord. A13 looks like this. You drop one finger down and you go to D major. Okay. Let me just keep going through these. F minor, B flat 13, E flat major is your one chord. Go to the key of E. The first chord is F sharp minor. That's your 2 chord. So your key of E. You go up a step. That's your 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. Okay, so we're going. Okay, one more time. Key of F. G minor, C13, F major. Now I wouldn't practice them this way. I mean, I guess you can if you're comfortable with that. But all right, what are we on? G flat. Here's the A flat minor. Here's G flat major. This is key of A flat. Here's the B flat minor. Key key of A. It looks like this. And by this point, you could go down the octave. This gets a little low. The right hand will sound like this. That's about as low as you want to go for these, but it's possible. This one gets a little high. It just leaves you, sonically it's pleasing, but it leaves you less room for melody and for improvising. Okay, now by this point, the 2-5-1 and B flat, I would recommend going in this range. 2-5 and B, 2-5-1. And then we're back to 2-5-1 and C. Okay, pause your video and practice those. You definitely want to make sure you have that, especially that set from the third on the 2 chord. It's really important. Okay, let's do the set from the 7th. Okay, so D minor. We're going to go from the 7th. 1, 3, 5, 7. Take it down here. Super glue that pinky down. 7, 3, 9, 5. These move like this. You're going to drop your pinky to go to the dominant chord. Look how easy that is. And in context with the root. Okay, now let's go up by half steps. So E flat minor is the 2-5-1 in the key of D flat. Drop your pinky down like this. By this point, the E flat, I would take it down the octave. So it sounds like this. This is F minor, flat 7, flat 3, 9, 5, F minor. Actually, let me do that again. You should play it like that. Key of E major, the 2 chord is F sharp minor. You got 7, flat 7, flat 3, 9, 5. 2-5-1 and F. G, key of A flat, key of A, B minor, key of B flat, B, here's the C sharp minor. Back to C. Okay, pause your video, practice those. So we just went through the set from the 3rd at first, and then we went from the 7th. What you'll discover as you do these is eventually you discover that certain ones seem to work better in certain ranges. A lot of them you can play in both ranges, but they will sometimes take away from the melody range. So you might make your choice based on that. The other concept is that sometimes it's nice to switch around. It just adds variety. Okay. Now let's talk about rhythm with that. Let's go back to the set from the 3rd. Okay, so this is an oversimplification, but it's often been said, just want to make sure that's still recorded. It's often been said that jazz has a triplet undercurrent to it. Okay, so here's my metronome. Hopefully that volume will be okay on the recording. And so if we said triplets, triplet, 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 you want to make sure you get those nice and even. Now get rid of the pull. Triplet, 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 triplet. Change the syllable to do-ba. Do ba do ba do ba do ba do ba do ba do ba. Accent the ba. Do ba 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 do. When we comp, you're going to play a lot of offbeats. Comping means to accompany, and we as pianists accompany like singers and horn players. Okay, and so you want to be able to have good comping will have a nice blend between pops, short notes, and then pads with longer notes. Okay, so let's go through a little exercise with that. I'm going to speed this up just a little bit. Okay, so let's say our triplets. Maybe I should slow it down just a little bit. Pop. Pad, long note. Pad, long note. Okay, so these sound like this. 4, pop, and 2, and 3, and 4. And what you're doing, again, we're quantifying the swing feel, which it can be a lot more elusive than that. You can move that beat around a little bit and tug on the beat. But this is a good way to get started. I like the triplet exercise. So, and 2, and 2, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 2. With it all together. I'll play it in the right so you can hear it with the bass. And 2, and 3, and 2, and 3, and 4. Okay. Now let's go up by half steps. Okay. 1, 2, and 3, and 4. And 2, and 3, and 4. Skip to key of A, 3 and 4. C. Okay. At this point, I would pause your video, go back, make sure you got that set down from the third. For those of you who are just starting, don't panic. This takes a while to learn. It took me probably a good 6 months when I was first starting of really dedicated practice when I first learned about these many, many years ago. Okay, I would do the same thing with the set. You can practice along with that other one I was just doing. Do the same thing with the set from the 7th. Just to keep the file size short and the video short, I won't play all that again. Another thing you can do, for those of you who feel comfortable, a quick way to learn them and review them is to do them two-handed. Now, please don't perform them this way with a combo. It would be too muddy. It's too much saturation. The mindset with this style of voicing these rootless is the kind of the old mindset is that you don't have any doubling within a 2-octave radius. But in this case, you're just trying to learn it quickly. So again, you got your 3rd, 7, 3rd, 7. If you want to learn them in your right hand, again, it's good to have them in your right hand because you might play a gig with 2 horn players and no bass player. And you might play some left-hand bass, and you want to learn them there. Or play with a singer, and you'll be able to need to, play stuff like this. Where you're playing the chords in the right hand and the bass line in the left hand, or bass note. Okay, I think that's pretty much what I wanted to cover in terms of that. That's the priority. Again, the priority is getting that left hand playing those rootless voicings. That will help you play in a combo. If you don't have that down, it's really hard to sound correct and authentic when you play with a combo. It just takes a little practice. Learn the positions with faith that they're going to turn into something. There's a little labor involved. What you'll discover is that they're just patterns, and once you learn those patterns, when you see the chord progression up there, you'll be like, oh, okay, what is that again? And then you're like, wait, oh, I know that, because you've already practiced that. It's under your fingers, okay? So do learn those. Let me show you one more thing. When you get to two-hand comping, I teach the fingering of it a little different than other pianists, though it often ends up being the same kind of note voicing. So my philosophy is this. Well, a lot of other pianists will do this. So everyone learns these 4-note voicings like that. Okay, and when they add two hands, a basic starting position would be like this. And they shift it and do like 3 fingers up and sometimes 2 fingers down, like this. And that's fine. But my philosophy is this, that, check it out. If you just put 2 fingers up and you keep this here, you've already learned this position. Why relearn it, and refinger it? Now, for people who are experienced, you want to be able to play it in a bunch of different ways and different fingerings and so forth. But when you're getting started, I would just simply do this. So for two-hand comping, like take that D minor, look up here what tones you don't have down there. Well, 4 is really nice to add on minor, and the root can be added. Now I know I've been saying don't play the root, but up here, I think it works fine, especially when you got the bassist playing it and not the pianist, not your left-hand pianist. Okay, and here's how they move. Okay, let's look at those pitch numbers. So you can see it's really easy. Like between these 2 chords, you just move 1 finger. Easy, easy, easy. And they sound beautiful. Okay, so check this out. So for D minor, you're going 3, 5, 7, 9, and then you're adding root and 4. And when you think of it from the G dominant, you just move 1 finger and you're going, that becomes 7, 9, 3, 13 up here. And then this becomes root and 5, and you didn't have to move it at all. Pretty cool. It's actually easier to play than root position stuff. Okay, and then on the 1 chord, if you play the 7th here and you get the root up here, then you get that kind of gnarly minor 9th. It is great in some situations, but not for this kind of harmony. So I will usually do 3, 6, 9 down here, okay, and then like a 5, 7. Let's learn those in 12 keys. Without explaining it a lot, I'm just going to go quickly and you can follow along with the video. Again, so this is 2, 5, 1 in D flat major, E flat minor. Drop this finger. I'm going to thin that one out. Key of D, E minor. Key of F. C. No, I need to do E flat. Sorry. Key of E. Key of F. Key of A flat. or G flat, the A flat minor. Sorry, let me do that again. So this goes like this. By this point, I think I dropped the octave. So it's out of tune. So I would go through this. So quickly it looks like this. Let's see. What am I now? By that one I would jump down. Now I won't go through all of these, but the set from the 7th looks like this. So again, the left hand was just like this. And up here you've got root and 4. And these just stay. Key of D flat, key of D, here's the E minor. These are a little high but doable. I think on this one I would jump down. Key of E. Key of F, G minor, C13, key of G flat. A flat, it's key of B flat, sorry, B flat, okay. That should get you going. So for those of you who are new, please don't feel overwhelmed with this. Just take it slow. Again, the priority is these rootless voicings from the 3rd in the left hand. Even if you came into the workshop with nothing more than that down, we'd be in a really good place, because then you could comp even just one-handed in the group, you know. Now to close, here's some comping, both just left hand accompanying a melody, and then also two-hand comping, just to see in context what it might sound like in one scenario. Here's that tune, There Will Never Be Another You. hand comping for a soloist. And so on. Okay, everybody, thanks so much, and I hope you have a great time practicing those materials, and don't stress over it. Have fun with it. Take it slow. Take it slow. Remember, these things take a while to get under the fingers, and we'll see you at the workshop.